Fellow citizen, I am coming with one more part of directive principles and of state policy, which is as follows. It would be an easy task to survey progress made by the governments and the union and states in implementing such a large number of directives over a period of 5 decades since the promulgation of the Constitution. Nevertheless, a brief reference to some of the outstanding achievements may be made in order to illustrate that the directives have not been taken by the government in power as pious homilies, as was supposed by many when they were engrafted in the Constitution. The greatest progress in carrying out the directives has taken place as regards the directive Article 39B, that the state should secure that the ownership and control of the material resources of the community are so distributed as best to subserve the common good. The distribution of largesse of the state is for the common good, and the subserve the common good of as many persons as possible. In an agrarian country like India, the main item of material resources is no doubt agricultural. Since the time of the permanent settlement, this important source of wealth was being largely appropriated by a group of hereditary proprietors and other intermediaries known variously in different parts of the country, such as jamindars, jagirdars, inamdars, etc., while the actual tillers of the soil were being impoverished by the operation of various economic forces apart from high rents and exploitation by intermediaries. The Planning Commission in its first plan therefore recommended an abolition of these intermediaries so as to bring the tillers of the soil in direct relationship with the state. This reform has by this time been carried out almost completely throughout India. Side by side with this, legislation has been undertaken in many of the states of the improvement of the constitution of the cultivators as regards security of tenure, fair rents and the like. In order to prevent the concentration of land holdings even among the actual cultivators, legislation has been enacted in many of the states fixing a ceiling, that is to say a maximum area of land which may be held by an individual owner. It has already been stated how these reforms have been facilitated by amending the Constitution to shield these laws from challenge in the courts. A large number of laws have been enacted to implement the directive in Article 40 to organize village panchayats and endow them with powers of self-government. It is stated that there are 2,26,108 gram panchayats, 5,736 intermediate tiers and 457 Jila Panchayats in the country. Though the constitution and functions of the panchayats are according to the terms of the different state acts, generally speaking, the panchayats selected by the entire adult population in the villages have been endowed with powers of civic administration such as medical relief, maintenance and village roads, streets, tanks and wells, provision of primary education, sanitation and like. Besides civic functions, the panchayat also exercise judicial powers. The judicial wing of the panchayat thus has a civic jurisdiction to try cases of a value not exceeding rupees 500 and is also competent to try minor offences punishable with moderate fines. Legal practitioners are excluded from these village tribunals. Though owing to lack of proper education, narrow-mindedness and sectional interests in the rural area, the system of panchayat administration is still under controversy. After the Constitution 73rd and 74th Amendment Acts, almost all the states have enacted laws vesting various degrees of powers of self-government in the hands of panchayat. For the promotion of cottage industries, Article 43, which is a state subject, the central government has established several boards to help the state governments in the matter of Finance, Marketing and like. These are All India Khadi and Village Industries Board, All India Handicrafts Board, All India Handloom Board, Small Scale Industries Board, Silk Board, Choir Board. Besides, the National Small Industries Corporation has been set with certain statutory functions, and the Khadi and Village Industries Commission have been set up for the development of Khadi and village industries. Legislation for compulsory primary education has been enacted in most of the states and in 3 union territories. For raising the standard of living, Article 47 particularly of the rural population, the Government of India launched its Community Development Project in 1952. Later on, Integrated Rural Development Program (IRDP) 1978-79, National Rural Employment Scheme Program (NREP), Rural Landless Employment Guarantee Program (RLEGP), Drought Prone Areas Program, Desert Development Program, and some other schemes were launched. Though legislation relating to prohibition of intoxicating drinks and drugs, Article 47, had taken place in some of the provinces long before the Constitution came into being. Not much of effective work had been done until, in pursuance of the directive in the Constitution, the Planning Commission took up the matter and drew up a comprehensive scheme through its Prohibition Inquiry Committee. Since then, prohibition has been introduced in several states in whole or in part, though paucity of the financial resources of the states is the primary reason for the failure to fully implement this directive so far. It would be only candid to record that ultimately failure of the people to imbibe the Gandhian ideal of life is at the back of this failure. The spread of malady of intoxication amongst the younger generation since independence is in fact alarming. It should be pointed out that a fresh impetus was given to the program of prohibition by the Janata Prime Minister Mr. Desai, a staunch advocate of the Gandhian philosophy in this matter. As to the separation of the executive from the judiciary, Article 50, the slow progress and diverse methods for the various states has been replaced by the uniform system by union legislation in the shape of the Criminal Procedure Code 1973, which has placed the function of judicial trial in hands of the judicial magistrate, who are members of the judiciary and are under the complete control of the High Court. Besides the directive contained in Part 4, there are certain other directives addressed to the state in other parts of the Constitution. Those directives are also non-justiciable. These are: Article 350A enjoins every state and every local authority within the state to provide adequate facilities for instruction in the mother tongue at the primary stage of education to children belonging to linguistic minority groups. Article 351 enjoins the Union to promote the spread of the Hindi language and to develop it so that it may serve as a medium of expression of all the elements of the composite culture of India. Article 335 enjoins that claims of the member of the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes shall be taken into consideration consistently with the maintenance of efficiency of administration in the making of the appointments to services and posts in connection with the affairs of the Union or of a state. Though the directives contain Article 335, 350A, 351 are not included in Part 4, courts have given similar attention to them on the application of the principle that all parts of the Constitution should be read together. This is all about directive principles and state policy. Thanks, regards.